We welcome you to the mid-year post-budget review organized by the Faculty of Accounting and Finance. On an important day like this, having this program, we cannot have it without getting somebody to sit in the chair for us. So at the moment, I'm going to introduce that person who is going to chair the all-important program for us. He is a researcher and an academic with passion for practical-oriented research. He has over 30 publications in the form of books, peer-reviewed journals, and international conferences. He also authored 2 books. He holds a PhD in economics and management from Thomas Bata University in Czech Republic. Master of Science degree in Management and Economics from the University of Economics, Prague. Majoring in International Business and then Business Practitioner minor. Further, this person holds the Bachelor of Law LLB from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, and he also completed a Master of Laws in Alternative Dispute Resolution. He is mainly interested in areas of competitiveness and performance for firms, as well as value for creation and cost reduction at the microeconomic and macroeconomic levels. He has worked in a number of capacities, both in Ghana and abroad, in industries such as insurance, education, project management, marketing, outsourcing, and logistics. He has also consulted for a number of public and private sector organizations in Ghana and abroad in the area of management research, cost reduction, and value generation. He is a lawyer and has been called to the bar as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Ghana. He has extensive experience in legal practice and continues to maintain an active presence at the bar. He teaches courses such as Global Dimension of Business Leadership and Ethics, Managing People and Work Environment, in Quality and Leadership and Ethics, among others. The chairperson for this occasion is our very own, the Pro Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs of the University of Professional Studies. With a round of applause, let's welcome Professor Emmanuel Selassie Asamoah.
Thank you very much, Madam MC, for your generous introduction. Good morning to everyone gathered here. I can see senior faculty members of our university. I can also see the Dean for Faculty of Accounting and Finance. I can see the Dean of Students, HOD Dr. Isaac Ofoida. I almost said Joshua. Isaac Ofoida. And then some senior lecturers gathered here. And very importantly, I can see a section of students who are also here, and our media team doing fantastically well. I welcome you all to this very important event, which is part of the calendar for the Faculty of Accounting and Finance. Indeed, the mid-year review of the budget of the Republic of Ghana is something that should be of interest to everyone. These days, because of the kind of economy we find ourselves in, you cannot live and be unconcerned about the finances of the state. So when there is a review of a budget, it should be of concern to everyone. We have significant challenges that we face as a country. We have issues with debt management to grapple with. We have issues with revenue mobilization at all levels. We also have been calling for some fiscal consolidation, all in the betterment and advancement of our nation state. I believe that these are three important indicators that should be of concern to everyone. More often than not, when politicians talk about the economy doing well, the rhetoric has always been that we want to feel it in our pockets. And I'm sure that most of us gathered here will always want to ask your question as to, well, a budget has been reviewed mid-year, and so what? What does it mean for me? And these are some of the vexed questions that we all need answers to. So the budget that was reviewed, what is the implication? How does it affect me as an individual? And I believe that the panelists that we have assembled will do justice to the topic. One of the things that I always encourage students to do when such platforms are created is for them not only to learn and absorb as much as possible, but also to ask very critical questions, because it is through questions that you get answers. And so for the students gathered here, my hope is that by the time you leave here, you would have asked all the questions that really bothers your mind, so that you can learn and become better and better at what you do. I am also here to learn. I'm also here to listen to the distinguished speakers that have been assembled to speak to us. And if I have a question, I will ask. But ultimately, the aim, I believe, is to provide some critique and to prefer some suggestions, which is what we do anyway as academic institutions. That is what we do. When things come from the policy makers and implementers, our duty and our role is to critique and also to make constructive suggestions that will aid the implementation of some of these policies that come up. And sometimes it is also to send a certain signal that when we sit in this citadel of knowledge, we are also interested in what is going on, and we also have ideas that can enrich the discussions at the national level. I don't intend to speak very much. So on that note, I would want to welcome everybody here, and I would like all of us to cooperate and learn as much as possible. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you so much. Now I would like to call upon the Dean for the Faculty of Accounting and Finance, in the person of Professor Isaac Buedi, to come and do us the honors of giving us the welcome address. Thank you.
Good morning. Once my Provice-Chancellor speaks, I'm speechless. But I say how to make a comment. And as a head of the faculty, to say thank you for coming. I can see the head of Banking and Finance. I can see the Dean of Students, the organizer, the chair for this occasion, Dr. Richard Agbanyo. And the panelists are here. Wonderful Professor Gladys as well. My good friend Lawrence. And then my old good friend as well, Doc. You're all welcome. Oh, Prof, you're welcome. Our dear students, you are equally welcome. I'm sure this is a baptism of fire. You've not gone through this section before. This is a faculty that whenever we have issues in the country, we gather and we discuss. Rightly, my Provice-Chancellor indicated, it's a faculty that we don't go to sleep unless there are no issues. So occasionally you are going to be invited to be here. And then we have a discussions on national related matters. We are taking our political lenses off as far as these activities are concerned. It's a national discussion. And I hope and pray that the panelists will do justice to that. It is our one country, and I've been on record, so I've said, our common enemy in Ghana is poverty. How to get us out of poverty. And that's what we are discussing this morning. I think we have a lot of things to do today, and I'm sure the one in charge of this program will steer us to our rightful destination. Before I take my seat, I can see Brother Kubaji also here. If the other people have not, mentioned your name, please let me know. I see a lot of our colleagues around. Thank you very much for coming. And it's one of, often we do a post or a pre-budget discussion. Because of the brevity of time, we couldn't do the pre. We decided to do post. So be aware that we'll be calling you, students. Take your paper, take a pen, and put pen to paper and write something that will come out of the panelists during their speech. Thank you very much.
Having said all that, we now want to go to the main meal, the reason why we are here. And so we would want to welcome the panelists to the stage. But before I do that, I am not in that capacity to do it. So I will introduce the moderator for the program, and she will then introduce the wonderful panelists that we are going to listen to today. And I believe that we are going to learn much from it. Okay. So the moderator for the program, in fact, schooled both in Ghana and abroad. And having said that, you can really tell that she has experiences both outside and then within the country. Moving through the ranks of lecturer to senior lecturer to associate professor, she has actually gone through a lot of articles. She has about 12 publications to her name. And then she has a book, I think so. She gave me one book recently. And so with that vast knowledge in her, I believe that she can squeeze out all the various ideas that our panelists have today for us to also benefit from it. I call her the first female professor of finance in UPSA, my very own Professor Gladys. As for the AA, I don't know what they mean, and I don't intend to mention them. Gladys Nabil is the moderator for the program today. Let's welcome her with a hand of applause.
Thank you so much, Kat. It's wonderful to be here. It is always good to learn, and we learn till the last day that we have to go through 6 feet down. Yeah, so without much ado, I would want to introduce our panelists. First, we have Honorable Aziale, who was the former DCE of, in the Volta region, right? Jessica, Oti region, okay. He's one of the experienced lecturers from the political point of view, and it's very, very strategic that we have him here, also from a very unique faculty. You know, the budget this year cut across all the areas, and he's from the IT department. We want to find out from him, how will Ghana strive given AI era? So without much ado, and to save a lot of time, I want to invite Mr. Aziale to the seat here. So, Kate, do me the honors when I invite them then. We also have our own faculty member. He's in the person of Dr. Mwasi. Don't worry, you get there very soon. He's a guru in accounting, and you know you cannot budget without accounting. So he's also part of the panel. He's with the Faculty of Accounting and Finance, and I'd like to invite him to take his seat so we discuss issues relating to the budget. Also with us is Dr. Kumsin. He's from the Faculty of Management Studies, and as the adage or saying goes, without management, we cannot achieve what we want to do in the budget. So I also invite him with his expertise from the management faculty to come and occupy the seat so we can continue with our panel discussion to digest the issues that are bothering our country, like our Dean said, to find ways to also even question and interrogate how we can resolve some issues that may come up, and also even understand how the budget is done. So I also invite Mr. Kumsin to come and take his seat.
Discussion this morning into some areas. We'll first look at the macroeconomic stability and then the IMF conditionalities. Then we'll move on to look at the domestic revenue mobilization and tax reforms. We'll also touch onto the education, social protection priorities, and then the digital issues. Maybe finally, as a general overview, because none of you is coming from the agri background, we also like just to find some general questions on agri food and security. Yeah, so my first general question borders around the microeconomic stability. And we've all realized that there has been several shocks from the COVID pandemic, from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and also global inflation just in the previous years. And that has made Ghana to experience some significant physical, external, and internal imbalances. I think in response to this, the government of Ghana engaged the IMF to extend credit facility to support a credible homegrown reform program. So this physical consolidation through improved domestic revenue mobilization, expenditure rationalization, public restructuring, and enhanced oversight of state-owned enterprises. I want to find out from you people, your general overview, what the mid-year review claims to have improved macroeconomic conditions. Are these gains sustainable without the IMF? For instance, the exchange rate that the minister claimed is as a result of their governance that has reduced it. It's a general question anyone can pick up. Do you think that this is going to be sustainable into the future without the without the intervention of the IMF? Yeah, someone should send the ball rolling.
Thank you for the question, Provisy and leaders of the faculty. Prof, I really doubt, but I know that the economic indicators have improved. We've been very surprised about how quickly we've turned around, and I also feel that it started somewhere last year, somewhere September, as the government was becoming a little more prudent. But I've looked at the first term of Professor Mills, I've looked at the first term of Akufo-Addo, and I'm also looking at the first term of Mr. Mahama. We see that anytime we come to our first term of governance, we are on IMF program and we are more disciplined. I was very happy with the first term of Ato Forson and Tamelis. We are praying that there will be the trajectory will change under Professor Mr. Mahama, so that we'll be better off. I think getting to elections and we give IMF conditionalities and discipline, we are not able to hold ourselves in that with that self-discipline, and so we work in a way that throws away all the very good work we have done in the first term. I'm hoping that we can change, but we are not very sure that we will be able to do that. We are hoping that we can continue to hold the numbers, to be disciplined, and to be able to put in place systems that will collect taxes, systems that will generate more revenue in terms of agriculture and other things that will stabilize the country. And that's my first introduction.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Honorable.
Thank you.
Aziale.
Thank you, Prof. Chair, and senior colleagues over here, students. Indeed, as the moderator mentioned from the beginning, I don't know why Professor Kwedi decided to give me this baptism of fire, knowing that I am not from a financial background, and it's bringing me to come and do this discussion. However, I will do my little best to share my thoughts. Yes, I can say the gain so far, as we have seen in the exchange rates, stability is encouraging. As my colleague has mentioned, I pray that that trend continue. My fear, however, is that if you watch so far, government is not doing major expenditure. We're not seeing payment for major contracts. We're not seeing major expenditure across the economy. So that is what gives me some fear as to whether this exchange rate stability that we are witnessing now could be sustained. If we get to that and government begin to do much of the major paying and things remain like this, then I think that we all need to applaud the current administration.
Wow.
Thank you.
Great. Dr. Kumsin?
Thank you very much. Prof. Chair, you acknowledged our deans and other faculty members duly acknowledged. Our cherished students are also duly acknowledged. I'll build on what my colleagues have started, and I want to pick it from where Honorable left off. Yes, it's true that I had a conversation that major contractors have not been paid. And as we know, government is the major public spender. In other words, government is the driver in terms of spending. And therefore, when government spends, then it's likely to influence the economic indicators. However, if we look at the budget review, the mid-year review report, which was presented by Finance Minister, you realize that the Finance Minister is intentional about government spending, such that he mentioned that government is going to do spending in priority areas. So if that is correct, then it means that government is going to be careful in spending. In other words, we'll spend on areas that are very important. And that, in a way, suggests that we're going to limit spending. So if we do so, then it's going to also control these indicators. I've heard that measures are being taken to address the dollarization of the economy. In fact, businessmen are going to be pushed or are being pushed to price in Ghana cedis, such that our value, the value of the cedi is going to enhance as against the rush for the dollars. That I have heard, and if we continue in that timeline, in that kind of space, we are likely to put pressure on the dollar such that the cedi can also maintain. There's been talks about prioritizing revenue collection, such that we're going to minimize a lot of leakages in the system. There's been also talks that I've heard about targeting cryptocurrency as one of the ways to enhance revenue. So if these things are done right, I'm sure that the positive signals that we are enjoying now can continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the wonderful submissions. I think we can now go on straight to the thematic areas that I itemized. And then the very first one is on domestic revenue mobilization and then tax reforms. Okay. So, in the minister's submission of the budget, the finance minister reported that customs revenue fell short by 1.6 billion due to smuggling and then fraudulent practices at the port. I think specifically he mentioned at the Tema port. He announced that there's going to be a deployment of an artificial intelligence, that is AI systems, that is going to enhance cargo tracking system to curb this leakage. Yes. So my first question to this is to Mr. Dr. Aziali. So to what extent can digital revenue tracking system enhance tax compliance and then reduce the leakages that the finance minister is talking about?
Thank you, Prof. Moderator. Respectfully, I'm still Lawrence. I'm Mr. I'm not Dr. yet.
Okay, that's okay. Sorry about that. You'll get there very soon. So I'm proclaiming it ahead of time.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. Prof. Chair, indeed, if we watch the concept of digitization as against revenue leakages, I think it's the only way that we can go to ensure that leakages, smuggling, or let me put it, corruption is cut out. Because using IT in revenue administration give us a clear picture from the forecasting down to the assessment, the budgeting, the audits of all of these systems. And if this is done efficiently, we are likely to see improvement in tax revenue forecasting because we can forecast right. We are also likely to see fair and equitable assessment of contributors to our tax revenues. One challenge that we face in tax or revenue mobilization is that if the person that is to pay realize that I've not been given a fair assessment, and for that matter what I'm giving is higher than what I'm supposed to pay, the reluctance to pay comes in, default comes in, and so on and so forth. But if you use a system like AI or IT platform that can make this very clear, very precise, you're earning X, this is your profit, and this is your tax assessment, I think that it will encourage, compliance, and so on and so forth. The tax administrators also can easily, by the click of the button, see what is happening in the collection system. Sometimes, like we might have read on social media, I think about 2 weeks ago, about Upper Manya Krobom, DCE, detaining some staff for having gone to collect revenue and pocketed it. If you're using AI and IT platform, for instance, such a thing will be eliminated. So you lock them up and then call the police to come and take them and go and deal with them. I don't know how far, but I'll be following up on that. So yes, the proposition by the finance minister that we should introduce AI, IT into our revenue mobilization administration system is an excellent idea. The question is, shall we or will we as Ghanaians be able to do it and do it so efficiently? The technology provides us very high hope. It can deliver efficiently because you see what IT can do, but it is human being again that will mount this IT. That is where my fear is. So if we could get implementation very right, I'm sure that the target set could be achieved.
Wow, such a wonderful response. Thank you so much. I think my follow-up question to what you were going to say was, what about the human element? I think you've made justice to that, because if the systems are in place, it is the human being who also even manages the IT. So I think that maybe the government has to probably look at the attitude, to work on the attitude of maybe the tax collectors. Just with the example you have mentioned, you come around, pick the tax and put it in your pocket, so we get nowhere. So it means that if the system is in place, they can get around a way around it again. So I think that all stakeholders listening to us should take clues from this and also work on the attitude of the people. Great. Any comments? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's good that he's been able to identify the causes. We always identify the causes, and finding the right solutions are very difficult. AI is good if we have very good people to manage it. Blockchain technology, that is very difficult to tamper with. We can use deploy it for collection of revenue. But as you said, you go to GRA, and these days everybody goes to work in GRA. In other countries, people with very high integrity and very intelligent people are put in that revenue mobilization and pension management and all that. What we are seeing is that here again, politics is taking over, and many people, everyone is going to GRA, and sometimes the challenges of the human nature is being seen there. But AI is very good, and I said blockchain technology. When we started, we now have identification and address system and all that. We need to put in a lot of other measures. These are indirect taxes. They are easier to collect, but even we are struggling. But the direct taxes, which are very low, the ones that need more of these technologies, because gains, capital gains, property taxes, they are not even looking at them. If people cannot calculate the gains, people buy cars, they register, and they resell the car later. When the car is going to be re-registered, it's going to government department to be registered. So we should know who sold the car, and at least if you can take a little gain and all those things. We are not looking at property taxes as well. And so what the minister is talking about is mainly the indirect taxes, which are easier to collect, and they are always introducing more, like the current tax and e-levy and all that.
VAT.
But even the direct taxes, we can put in this technology to be able to get more taxes from the small-scale industries and also from the informal sector.
Okay, thank you so much. Just before you come in, Mr. Kumsin, Dr. Kumsin, Mr. Amwasi, yes, your response to this question brings another key question to you, specifically from the tax perspective. Do you think that the government's domestic revenue targets are realistic? Given the problems surrounding how to collect indirect taxes that you have just mentioned about.
They are realistic. We can even collect more revenue than what we are collecting now.
Okay.
Maximum 15% of our GDP, which is very low. I think we haven't done much education on taxes.
And the collection.
In the collection. A lot of people, in Ghana, people also don't want to pay taxes because probably they don't understand, or probably they feel the politicians are not using the money for the right things. We are here, and then you go to Rwanda, you go to the other countries, they do a 100-kilometer road for about $400–500 million, and Ghana we are doing it over $1 billion. And I've gone to industries, talk to them, and sometimes when I ask them to pay the right taxes, they are saying they are not going to use it for anything. We need them to know that the taxes are the ones that are going to develop this country, and we can collect more. The taxes, as I've indicated, we can collect more than that, so they are realistic.
So Ghanaians want to see accountability,
yes, accountability
in the use of their resources.
And some of them also don't know, and we need more education on taxes.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope all the stakeholders are listening to us, and they should do the needful so that they can, we can have the confidence in paying taxes to increase this. So now to you, Dr. Komsen, please can you respond to the first question?
Thank you. Thank you. The question you asked.
To what extent the digital revenue tracking system can enhance and reduce the leakages in taxation?
You asked him a question right now which was connected to what I wanted to say, so I wanted to just add on to it. That's a social contract between government and the people. And I've had the opportunity to work with the Ministry of Information, with the NCC, and what we gather over the years, although efforts have been done to improve tax collection and all of that. The main issue which I realized that the finance minister has captured is that public confidence has been eroded over time. Politics has been seen to be an avenue to make money. So if the politician is making money from us, why will I give my money to the politician, in quote? Okay, so if the social contract we have with the citizenry suggests that we are coming to manage funds and use the funds to improve your standard of living, to improve your social welfare, to bridge inequality gaps, okay? To bridge inequality gaps, to solve your day-to-day problems, and not not that we have another agenda. Why would we not pay? Because people voluntarily give to others in the name of NGO. People voluntarily give to the needy, and so on and so forth. Recently, I know someone who I think that is an average earner, but went to give to somebody else. You realize, so the giving may be there intrinsically, but when we are giving it, what do we expect in return? What are they going to use it for? So if we try and demonstrate continuously to the citizenry that the money that we are taking from you, this is what we are using it for. We don't need sensitization. We don't need training for NCC officials. We don't need training for information officers. We don't need government communicators to come and do these things, because they also spend. As we train them, they spend. As they go out, they use car, they burn fuel and all of that. So let's take measures to improve public confidence by doing what we promised to do for them. In so doing, it makes it easier for GRA to collect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's make it easier and build confidence in the very Ghanaian so we can...
yes, I want to have a little bite to the question as to the realistic nature of the
target, yes.
I think that government media review indicated 229 billion or so to be collected. And the major reform we've seen is in the VAT.
Exactly. That's where my next question is going to come from.
To expand the base. Now, I'm not going to tie down to VAT, but to talk generally about tax revenue collection in Ghana. Generally. Aside what my brother mentioned about accountability to the people, I think the major issue also has to be on the political dimension. There are certain areas that government can rake in a lot of tax revenue, such as property rates and so on and so forth. But government will not do because of what? Because of the nature of politics we do. As for identifying properties to be taxed, I don't think it's a problem because of what? The digital addressing system now. So we have the data, but who is willing to go there and collect? When I went to office 2017, I do remember, I looked on the book, and I think for a whole 4-year term, they've collected about 1,040 Ghana cedis.
Wow.
For property rate for a whole...
For the whole district, municipal assembly. That's so low.
I said, no, this cannot be. So we embarked on some education and vigorous collection. Come and see the costs that we're coming. You can't do that. The people are complaining. Stop. And you have to stop. So the decision to make extras for 2 to 9 billion for the whole Ghana, I don't think it's the issue. We can easily do more than that, as earlier speakers have mentioned.
Yeah.
But we have the political will to commit to collecting this. Do we have that desire to effectively implement the systems that we put in place? For instance, we say we're going to broaden the VAT base, okay, the tax base for VAT. Are we willing to do that? We put it on paper very nicely, but are we willing to do that? If we could do this efficiently, then realization of this value that is stated over here can be far exceeded.
Thank you so much. I think your last statement brings me to the next question, which is directly about VAT. If that is right, the budget that the minister read, he rather reaffirmed government's commitment to people of Ghana and the business community to undertake comprehensive VAT reforms this year. In fact, he stated that they aim to complete the process by September 2025, which is just 2 months away, and then prepare a new VAT bill by October 2025 and submit it to Parliament as part of the 2026 budget statement. In fact, the minister said that he's going to look at VAT as a flat rate, and some will be removed, some will be abolished. So the VTA registration threshold, he said, will be increased to exempt small and micro businesses. And we know that the Ghanaian system, the private sector is so huge. So if the minister is going to do this, my question is, what are the likely social and economic effects of this proposed VAT reforms that the minister has allowed in his budget review?
Okay, I'll go first. Thank you, Prof. The VAT amendment is welcome because what we had earlier on with the flat rate and then the standard rate confuses a lot of people.
Yeah.
People must learn and know what they are. And then also the former Minister of Finance introduced the cascading effects of the calculation of the VAT, whereby other taxes are taken from the base and added to the base before VAT is done, and became very confusing. A lot of people will have to call, but tax should be simple so that everybody can do that. And so with the change, I think they are going to remove the flat rate, which is 3%. And then if they want to exempt a lot of small businesses, then the threshold up to about 150,000, I think it should not go below 500,000. We should go as far as 500,000 to exempt a lot of small-scale businesses, and then make it easier for people to understand. We have accountants sometimes even who don't understand the cascading effect that was introduced, and I thought the amendment is going to abolish that and make it easier for people to understand how to calculate the VAT and be able to pay.
You think it's in the right direction?
The flat rate should be abolished, the cascading effect should be removed, and then the threshold should be increased. And I think it should be increased at least up to about 500,000.
But given that VAT is one of the major, source of government revenue, wouldn't that affect the performance and of the revenue mobilization, and also the target that we've just spoken about? Can they really meet it?
Well, is the simplicity and making it easier for people to understand and to be able to pay is very important. And I think that we can still achieve our aim if we are able to make it simple, make it understandable for people to comply with the VAT system.
Okay.
A lot of people are not complying at all. I remember last 2 years, people were sent to shops. GRA sent staff to shops to be able to see compliance.
Okay.
Because it was very difficult for them to be compliant with the level of cascading effect that had been introduced.
I see Dr. Kumsi nodding his head. Do you want to add on to this?
Yes, I want to. I was in one shop at West Hills Mall when there was an officer from GRA. I mean, that was the first time I was seeing it. He's been there. She's been there from morning, according to them, monitoring the sales pattern so that you can be sure that the revenue that is reported at the end of every day is consistent with what is in their records. So just to affirm what my colleague is mentioning, I want to look at the dimension for exempting the micro. I want to see it not as a shortfall to tax revenue, but I want to see it as a way to alleviate businesses and encourage businesses to come up, help minimize the unemployment gaps in the system. And I think that is the logic. That's the logic. My boss mentioned something about tax leakages, which I mentioned earlier. Okay, and all these tax leakages is potentially because even the officers, some of the officers, feel that they are not paid well. You see the thing? So, Provis mentioned something about the poverty issue that affects all of us. As we move day and day, we are looking for how to increase our revenue sources. So that when we are struck by an event, an uncertain event, you've been called that your mother has been hospitalized and there is an oxygen on her, then you think of your salary. How much is that? One day and everything is gone. Then where are you getting it? So it is something that haunts us. And I'm sure the ordinary GRA official, we are talking economics, is rational. It's a rational being. So obviously, if he feels that what is being given him is less, or he feels that there's a way he can manipulate the system and take care of others in the house, he will be corrupt to go and solve problems in the house. So these are issues that haunt us, and as we take steps little by little to ensure that we treat citizens right, we pay employees well, and so on and so forth, then we can get there. Because this AI we mentioned is going to be manipulated by people. Okay, so while the ordinary taxman should see how to make the AI important and realistic, he or she may rather look at how he can manipulate the system to his or her benefits. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Aziali.
Thank you, Prof. Yes, so for me, the flat rate concept is key because it will make computation much easier for the people and so compliance. But my concern is the exemption. If you say you are exempting micro businesses, what is the definition of that micro business? What threshold are they going to exempt? How much must you be making before you could be included or exempted? These are key things to look at, looking at the fact that our economy is heavily dependent on these micro entities. So if you're going to exempt them, where are we targeting to bring in that difference that will be coming in when these people are out? Yes, it will give them some space to grow, to become stronger and contribute much better. But the question is, in the short term, do we have alternative sources that we're going to make? I mean, those revenue shortfall that will come from this exemption to make up the difference. These are questions that I pray that the minister should look at and then get clearly defined so that we don't get in there in the middle of the river. We begin to raise our stomach up because we are getting sunk into the bottom of the river. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to add something.
On that, currently we know those are exempted. If you are not making total revenue of 150,000, you are exempted.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that he says it's going to increase the exemption level, and I was even saying it should go to as far as 500,000, which is just $50,000.
Okay.
To make sure that a lot of businesses build their capacity and become stronger and to be able to contribute.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, so from the last statement of Mr. Aziali, if you look at government expenditure They mentioned about 113.7 billion they have done in the public debt reduction. And critics and other stakeholders also mentioned that there was not even much payment, but most of the reduction came as a result of the cedi appreciation, which the minister acknowledged. Now, given that these exemptions are going to be done for the MSEs, and that means that having also to remove VAT is going to reduce Ghana's revenue further. Now my question wants to go to education, social protection priorities. And you all realize that we have this free, senior high school, school feeding programs, other capitation grants. Allocation remains consistent with original projects, But in Parliament, the finance minister stressed that these programs support human capital development and social equity. Although no new funding was requested, he mentioned that they did timely disbursement, which remains critical to them, and especially under the underdeserved areas. Now, my question is, are the current budget allocations adequate to address the inequalities in education and then the healthcare across the country?
Right. It is not enough at all. Even in Greater Accra, when you move around, you see a lot of their schools, the public schools, the basic ones, in very deplorable states. And when you move on further, yes, 21st century, we should have very good schools. Children should be happy to go to schools. But also worried about over-concentration on indirect taxes. Anytime we have problems, we look at indirect taxes and impose them. And then now is mainly focused on that. But look at other areas: corporation tax, property tax, gains, taxes on gains. Because when somebody buys a land, it goes to public sector to be registered. Exactly. Before you register your land, who did you buy it from? What is how much you bought it from? If we can calculate the gains, we can have a little percentage on the gross amount and charge. All these are laws.
Charge from the buyer, charge from the purchaser as well?
The seller must pay.
Yes.
Because he is making the gain.
Okay.
He must pay a little tax on it. And then property taxes. So we are lazy in the way we structure our tax system. So we only fall on indirect taxes, which are easier to collect. Especially his focus is mainly obsessed with VAT. But we can have more areas and generate more revenue for development. With the exemptions that are going to come, we may, in the first year or second year, have challenges with collecting enough. But as time goes on, we can collect enough. And then let's concentrate on other areas of taxes and make sure that we put in the right systems. Common ERP systems, enterprise resource systems in DRA and other places can just help us to generate more cash and revenue for the state to do all the social interventions. Mind you, we have so many hospitals, they started but and have not been done. We have so many schools, we started. We need to put more resources in there.
Okay. So it means that it is the budget, the current budget is woefully inadequate.
Sure.
Great.
If we look at the issue of inequality, vis-a-vis the budget allocation currently.
Yeah.
As he mentioned, Accra in very dilapidated facilities. If you travel to the areas such as some of the places that some of us are coming from, the situation is really, really very ugly. Infrastructure is a problem, even access. Some of the places, if it rains, students have to stay home. Now, government's educational budget this year has reduced from what it was last year, between 22 to 25% of total budget to 17.6 or so percent for this year. I have great fear, especially now that this government has a view of roping in other educational sectors such as the private sector into free SHS and so on and so forth, the numbers are going to go up. And the budgetary allocation
has reduced.
I think the whole audience will have to look at this and say, or tell whether or not the allocation is adequate. I think that the inequality gap in education and social intervention is going to widen. It's going to widen because if by 22 to 25% we experience what we experience in the educational sector in 2024, and that has dropped to 17% in 2025, yet we are expanding the facility across board, then there's going to be a problem. Again, when we take component like school feeding, I think currently it's about 1 cedi 50 pesos, right? Or 80 pesos. To feed a child, 1 cedi 80 pesos. Now, city dwellers, parents can afford to give their children some pocket money, to give them some food before they go to school. You go to the rural communities, it is those interventions that is the attraction for young people to go to school. And tell me, 1 cedi 80 pesos per child. What can you cook for that child? So I have a great fear in the reduction that we've witnessed in 2025 budget. Down to what? 17-point-something% for education. I think that more should be done, or alternative sources should be sought out and add what to complement what allocation government has provided so far. Seriously speaking, the allocation we have for 2025 cannot.
It's woefully inadequate.
Exactly. We target to do or we hope to do as a nation towards education and social protection.
Thank you so much. I am sure the stakeholders are listening to us, and the information should get to the Minister of Finance that the current budget allocation is woefully inadequate to address the inequalities. Dr. Kumsin, you have something to say?
Let me try to alleviate the fears of Honorable.
Okay.
I've heard, I know it may not be enough, but there's been talks about the reforms for the free SHS.
Okay.
That I'm aware.
Okay.
That I think it came up in the manifesto prior to our elections that not everybody need intervention.
Free education.
Okay, so if we are able to identify this thing properly, then we can still improve social injustices, bridge inequality gaps, at the same time reserve some revenue for other areas. Okay, my worry is how we're going to identify them. Okay. And in fact, if I can pay for my ward and you still want to do it free, for me I will say yes. So if those who can pay can gladly say that they are taking as a contribution to Ghana because they have the muscles to pay, then we can concentrate on those of us that are middle or our parents are middle or low income earners. Then we can reserve some money to be able to address some of these fears. But this may be just one bit of it. I'm sure there may be measures to improve some of these things. And this discussion we are having, per what we read, suggests that we're going to give recommendations to.
Okay. I would say something before, but let's hear from.
Yes. My concern has to do with the policy that you just mentioned, that we will check those who can afford and for them to pay. You see, sometimes as politicians, I don't know whether we truly revise our notes before coming up with certain policies. When we say we're going to look for those who can afford, all these type of policies, how has it brought us this far? You remember when government introduced cocoa scholarship policy, it was meant to benefit cocoa farmers' children. The question is, do cocoa farmers' children truly get these scholarships?
Benefit or?
How many of them truly get that? So if you ask me, Lawrence, whether I can afford, I'm just saying no. What criteria are we going to use to say that A can afford or B cannot afford? And based on that, you're saying, okay, this lower budget that we have can, cover the whole plan that we have. That's my fear. How are we going to do that identification? What measures do we have? Are you going to say that because I teach at UPSA, so I can afford, and somebody teach in the village and do many other business besides, he cannot afford? Is that what we, so it's a major issue. I think that we should have gotten this criteria before deciding to reduce the budget allocation to education.
Great. I see Ms. Amasa want to come in.
I'm aware that the government is not going to cancel any part of the free SHS. I'm worried.
To cancel, you mean?
Looking at revising and making sure that people who can afford. I mean, for me, I believe that we should be able to pay for every child to go to secondary school. We should not go for means tested, which we have never been able to do in Ghana. I know the Cocoa scholarship. I also know of scholarship secretariat. When I was in advancement school, people were coming whose parents were ministers and all that, and had Cocoa scholarship. So cocoa farmers, because my grandfathers were cocoa farmers, and people in those villages never got their scholarship. So if we are having free SHS, everybody should go through. And my worry is when it's going to go to private schools. If I decide to send my child to private school, it means I can afford. But if you are now going to make private schools also free, then that will be a drain on our revenue and a drain on our resources. So that's my only worry.
Thank you so much. My final question on education and social protection priorities. I think the Finance Minister at Forson, he signaled continuous support for the livelihood empowerment against poverty, the LEAP program. And then he said they will maintain earlier funding levels, but also emphasize the need to protect vulnerable groups amid this fiscal restraint and also fiscal consolidation. Now, although the application states the same, the government underscored delivery and efficiency as priorities. So because of that, he said they had paid a lot of these things. I want you, experts here, to suggest some innovative funding mechanisms that can support the expansion of this social protection for the most vulnerable. Do you think there are some funding mechanisms that, the stakeholders listening to us, especially the politicians and government officials, can use to help?
Yeah, attempt, Prof. Currently, looking at the fiscal space, things are tight. But I think that we can do things like reallocating expenditure from areas that I would say non-essential or non-essential to very key or essential areas. I heard His Excellency mentioned that his council fuel allowance for government appointees. If that is true and it's feasible, then such type of decisions can save some resources for the state and then direct it towards these vulnerable groups that need those support. As we mentioned earlier, if we can strengthen our domestic revenue collection, politicians can do away with thinking of the next vote and thinking of getting more revenue. For that matter, go in there to get these resources from the communities in terms of from sources such as property rate and those things, and probably account to them, to the people. I believe that we can make some money or some gains to take care of these social interventions.
Thank you so much. I believe they are listening. Mr. Morrissey?
Yes, the lead has mainly been funded by grants, and we have to win off most
From
of the
those
grants.
grants, yeah.
And then it's not always looking for new sources of revenue, but being disciplined in our expenditure. If we are very well disciplined as a country, we will be able to save a lot of money to solve some of these issues. When I was studying UK, one of the things I did as a student is go and have a child. I am married, and so I was receiving child benefits. And there was they didn't say that this is the source of funding into the child benefits, but they were given to everybody who has a child from day 1 to 16 years. And even as a foreigner, I was receiving that. We need to look at our expenditure, not always looking for areas to bring revenue. The Auditor General is always saying that we are losing about $3 billion in a year. And we have said this several times, and we are not able to find solution to that. If you look to our expenditure, we can always
savings from our expenditures
to protect the vulnerable in our society. There are so many vulnerable ones, the aged, the young ones. We should be able to save them, protect them, and give them dignified life without always looking at where grants or where we should bring the revenue from. We should spend wisely. We should be fiscally disciplined in this country. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I want to quickly add that I've had the opportunity to work in several MMDs. Okay, and one of the areas I see that can help, and is helping, at least I can talk about the Confederation Assembly. I know of Fantaman and a few others. For a Confi, I'm aware that the business advisory services are doing very well in supporting the poor. In other words, supporting those who sell small businesses. Okay, they are getting good funding to help with new stuff like these raw materials that we have, like the maize, the plantain, and all of that. They are able to package it in such a way that they can sell it in supermarkets. Milling machines, and now we have now for very good. Now even for fufu, some don't pound.
Yeah.
Okay, so these small machines that can turn the raw material into a way that you can preserve for a while. I think they are doing well, and that speaks to entrepreneurship. Okay, so as MCs, they should work closely with the builder. In fact, some have even built houses for these people. Okay, so there are people willing to give money to others. It's sad that we release the burden on government. So if MCs can pay attention to business as advisory services, there are a lot of people who are into good business or willing to support young females or young men in some of these. Some have opened barbering shops for others, and they are working. Okay, and in that case, this approach of, there was a word I saw somewhere, feeding the person instead of showing the person how to find the fish.
Good, yeah.
Very good, God bless you. So that becomes more sustainable, because I am a father, I give all the time. What if I'm no more? You see, so is the entrepreneurship big? We have to start alleviating our minds of looking for some help and reducing the perception that somebody has to pray over our capital before it can increase. We have to believe that the capital we have, we can turn it, and that's the issue of the Agrada issue. We have police officers, lawyers, businessmen who don't believe in themselves but believe that when some magic is done, the money can double or triple. And they send the money there, eventually, then the bouncers are on them.
Sure.
You see that thing? So we believe in the spiritual, maybe because of our culture. Rather than, let me sow a seed, let me dream and think of what I can do. How can I make my business work? That is what has worked for some of us.
Train the person.
Yes. In fact, throughout my life, I have come to understand. My mother is a reverend minister. My mother does the work of God. But coming up, I've come to understand that prosperity is not in the church.
Yeah.
Prosperity is outside the church. The church motivates you
To go
and turn it. But sometimes we see the church as waiting is coming, and we ignore the reality. So let me add this one. Anytime we go to church and we say, the pastor says that, and I'm quite so bad, then everybody says, So that is how we don't face realities. But the reality is that somebody's going to die in your family. But when we say, Mr. Diana Bogabi Frabochaba, as a warrior, baby, or Obano, the show, they all sell a crowd grabbing that. Let's believe in somebody. Yes, in fact, it has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
It has helped. So, as it stands now, I put more emphasis. And I faced my mom and I talked to her. And she has seen some of the interventions I have done for her, which is not coming from the church. So I believe more in science, getting to the root and getting it to work, rather than praying and all of that. Eventually, you will be feeding the suffering. You will be taking care of the suffering. If you spend all your time at church, you will be taking care of the suffering, helping his business one, paying tithes too. And sometimes you forget that this money you are taking it from your husband who is sweating and working for the money. And you may even prioritize the software, than your husband, forgetting that the software and you are feeding your husband.
Wow.
Sorry, the software and you are being fed by your husband who is working and he's being accused of a Samson quote on Basori. The person is working.
Thank you so much.
Let me finalize this. I've been in businesses where they go to work on Sundays. And when I started life and I started working at the mines, I realized that they allow you to come to work Sunday, Saturday. I was like, why don't you worship God? But over time, I've realized that it demonstrates the commitment towards the work. If you commit to your work, you worry about what customers need, how to improve customers' needs, how to make things better and all of that, and service delivery. To get to a point, and I'm ending, customers will be coming and you'll be running away. Why? Because others have gone to sell the good news and they are coming in their numbers and you'll be amazed. They are willing to give for the solution that you are offering. So let's pay attention to our businesses.
Thank you.
And we will be very independent of government and so many other things. Thank you
so much. Fantastic views on how to finance, and I see that as practical. Cut your expenditure, make efforts to fish. Don't wait to be fished for, and then broaden the revenues sources. Thank you so much. I want us to now move on to an area that affects all of us, and that has to do with energy, infrastructure, and maybe the industrial growth. You know, the energy sector levies to generate about 2.9 billion more was mentioned in the budget. So amendment to the Energy Sector Levies Act are expected to yield an additional 2.9 billion, which is supposed to be used to clear arrears and support power supply. I know when the light is off, they say, when the light comes, the machine, when the light has come. That means that we cannot do much without it. My question to the panelists is, does the 2.9 billion upward revision for energy sector payment signal a sustainable investment in our energy sector or a financial risk?
I'm hoping so, because we had ESLA were mainly for the energy sector, and we never got very good sustainable systems. For this country to develop and to get to where we want to be, energy is very essential. And when they took the e-levy, and then they said that now we want to have the energy d-levy, it's now on. But the challenge is when fuel prices go up, and I don't know whether they will take it off or will still be there. But we need that resources. We need enough resources in the energy sector apparently ECG is not collecting enough. There are leakages, they are making losses, and if you don't take care, they will collapse all the other companies, because they are the ones who are collecting the water flow mechanism. They are collecting the money and then distributing. So if you have the stats collected by the state and being able to pay to their various stakeholders, then I think that we should make sure that the monies go to exactly where we want it to be. It's one thing collecting the money and also making sure that it goes to solve the problems we have identified. We have identified the fact that we need to have good energy, sufficient energy, available energy for young ones and industries that are existing to be able to do better, because energy is very important, it's key in any development. So if you have identified this and we have brought this tax, then the taxes that are collected every year should go to that sector. We have many times brought taxes for specific purposes, and we have refused to send our monies to those sectors. And I believe that when we send 2.9 billion every year
to that sector can cause it to be sustainable.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, 2.9 billion is something, but it's not fully enough for what we need.
Okay.
But that is just not even $1 billion. So, but we need about $1.5 billion every year. But 2.9 will do.
So how to reduce and cause it to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your idea. Yeah, Dr. Aziali?
Thank you, Prof. Indeed, yes, I will agree with my colleague that the allocation is adequate.
In the right direction.
What is key is to cure the inefficiencies in the energy sector. I still can't understand how Electricity Company of Ghana, who metered and these days using the prepaid system, still can say that we are running at a loss, and so pushing government hard to create fiscal space for them. If we can cure these inefficiencies, then this allocation is just so adequate. Again, we as individuals must also think of what? The current trend, the renewable energy, supplements. There are some nice policies that government came up with. For instance, in this renewable energy sector, that if you do solar and you have excess of generation, you can feed it into a national grid, and when you have need for that, you take it without paying. That concept was so fantastic, but implementation problem.
Cool.
So the challenge we have for budgetary allocations, I doubt if any third world country is going to have that adequate that will say that, oh, this one is adequate. But if you can look at our inefficiencies, cure them, and then encourage people to take advantage of other avenues that are in the system, it will take away the burden from the central government, and that such allocations as we are discussing now will be seen to be adequate.
A great submission there, and what comes to my mind is domestication. The president that wanted to be Ghana for domestication, at least. We all see that in terms of food security, if there's going to be a next COVID, and then we have to stay indoors for 1 year, I'm wondering how we are going to feed ourselves, because virtually it appears we don't even have reserves. Okay, so thank you so much for your wonderful contributions. Yeah, before we wrap up, I just want us to touch one more thing on the issue that you mentioned about, even though you were talking about agri, and that is our natural resources, environment, and climate policy. We've realized that though the Ghana Gold Board, the gold that we are harvesting is able to help us sustain or do fiscal consolidation, what about our environment? What role should newly established Ghana Cocoa Board, Gold Board play in promoting responsible mining and curbing the smuggling? You know, the minister said that they wanted to, the board should try and purchase, I think, about 3 tons of our gold instead of it being smuggled. Good. So the question is, what role should the board, the newly constituted board of the Ghana Gold, play in promoting responsible mining, that is for the environment, and also curbing the smuggling of the gold?
Thank you very much. So I'll look at the environment issue first.
Sure.
I think this is an issue that we have to take politics completely out and tackle it holistically as a nation. We must put a nationalistic view to the environment issue when it comes to mining. I was so happy when I heard my former president in 2018 saying that I'm going to put my government on the line to protect the environment as far as mining is concerned. We also what that led to. And that's a major problem. You see, we at these areas of the country may not be feeling the impact now so much. But what is going on over there? We have mineral all over Ghana. If you don't care the situation, very soon we'll be importing water. And you can imagine what the situation would be like if Ghana should be what? Importing water. Life, health issues are so much related to this mining carelessly in our country and economy. So I expect the Gold Board to actually put in measures, enforcement of mining in forest reserve areas. For instance, that law, the president promised that he was going to repeal it. Till now, it's still there on our books. So we must enforce the laws that prohibit illegal mining. Then the smuggling cocoa. Since the time that we have gotten cocoa board, smuggling is still ongoing. I think that this thing is again in the domain of the politicians. The politicians commit to it, and they want to enforce the law. They can enforce the law because you and I, who have not even possibly seen gold before, where are we going to do this one day? It is the big men who are in control of these laws, who are to enforce these laws, that do not do so. So we pray that they must make sure that they enforce the law, and we all must be vanguard, our citizens. If you hear that somebody is going to take your gold away and the nation will not get the benefit that will come back to you, you must raise the alarm bell, and that those people should be brought to book.
Thank you so much. We have exhausted our time allocated for the discussion, and it is now time to hear from faculty, hear from the students, and then the public on what we have discussed so far. So I would ask our MC to go around. If you want to ask a question, just put up your hand so we locate you. Then you ask for clearance. Thank you so much. So I have one faculty member, Mr. Kubaji. If we can hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Paul, facilitator. I have two issues, public. I'll see them in the form of contributions. In the first place, the dollar CD issue. My issue is about the pricing of goods in Ghana in dollar.
Yeah.
You and I know that if you go outside the borders of Ghana, there's no way
you can spend the city
in a different currency other than the currency of that nation. So the dollar issue is a sovereignty issue, and I pray that every patriotic Ghanaian should ensure that everything that we do should be in the Ghana city. But the legal term of Ghana is the city. But at least there are reasons why people are pricing their goods in dollars. But that is not right. If we are compromising what makes us Ghanaians. So the appeal should be that let everything that we buy, everything that we sell should be the Ghana city. And also coming to the gold board issue, I think it's a historical disservice that past government have done to Ghana. The question remains, we had cocoa board, we have several boards. How come we never got a gold board? For the over 60 years, over 100 years rather, digging exploration of gold, and we have not got a gold board. Yes, a gold board is long overdue, but rightfully it is, we have it now. The issue still now remains that how can we sustain the gold vis-a-vis the environment, like the panelists rightly said.
because we are doing that at the expense of our environment. Now the environmental issue is no more an emergency. It goes to your emergency because now bandits are taking advantage of the situation. You go to these forest zones, the guys are heavily armed to the point that they can go foot to foot or boot to boot with the security of the nation. So yes, a lot more should be refocused on what makes us Ghanaians and the prosperity. Because like the sociologists tell us, our natural resources are for the current generation unborn, and the generation that are born. So what do we have to be for the next generation yet to be unborn? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful submission. Any other question? I think that the politicians should...
Thank you very much for your insightful contributions. And we have learned a lot as a group. Myself, I was writing a few things, some solutions from your end. As a country, for the past 6 months, we have seen signs of economic recovery. We must be honest. Sometimes we give credit to whoever credit
belongs.
It's not bad to say they have done well. If you take all the other indicators, inflation is down from 23 to 13.7. GDP above the target of 4.7, now is 5.3. Without oil, still up. Primary balance, we moved to double digits now. Reserves up from 8 to 11. So all the other indicators, what I'm not saying is just the credit part, which is still a challenge.
Yeah.
For 6 months, yes, we are seeing signs of recovery. Sometimes it could be as a result of other measures that were taken years ago.
Sure.
So if you're giving credit, we need to do it and give to them because this administration is in charge. For that matter, they have to. Because we're discussing the media budget, my attention was drawn to some items, indicators in the budget on the revenue optimization. Looking at the real performance, I saw some underperformance in some of the indicators. One, we dropped, oil revenue dropped to about 2.6 billion. Grants dropped, 39 million. Non-tax also dropped to 1.46 billion. In total, that gives you 3.2 billion drop. Already your expenditure is cut. Because of capital, you couldn't raise that money. A total of about 18 billion cut off. I don't want to ask our panelists, did you see in the budget plans to rebalance the spending habits of this administration to investment productivity? Did you see anything like that?
Sure. So let's hear from our panelists.
Not very much. I thought a government that's built the Kotoka airport and said it's an investment for which we are getting more money in. We should have also looked at putting money in areas that will really generate more funds. But I don't know whether it's because it's the first budget and it's being used to do correction. And I'm hoping that the second budget will do that. And the cuts, I also saw them, just that questions were not in the area. But because, as you said, we are not spending much now, so we haven't felt that a lot of contractors are complaining, a lot of the assemblies are complaining, a lot of areas that money have to go to, and we are already in the middle of the year. So because of that, we haven't felt much of the cut. And I'm hoping that this budget is just for correcting the challenges we've had in the last 2 years. In the next year, we should be looking at investments that will bring returns. Like they built the airport and they said within 3-5 years we'll pay back. If we want to do the motorway, are we going to toll it and bring the money back and all those things? So investment with returns are very important. And I haven't seen that in this budget.
All right, thank you so much.
I said I haven't seen that in this budget. I hope it's for correction. of what has been done in the past, and because in the next year I hope to look forward to budget that to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Dr. Aziali?
yes, I will share in my friend's view. I've also not seen any practical mention of how those shortfalls were going to be made up. But I believe that the reforms that were introduced were targeting at that. Even though that was not directly mentioned,
okay.
I believe that everybody will bring in on board a reform. The essence is that that reform has bring up some additional thing to improve the system. So introducing the AI, for instance, for the tax administration to make sure that leakages are sealed, giving the micro...
1 minute. Yeah, just say it in a minute, round up.
The macroeconomies, or businesses that tax holiday is to make them rebuild, get capacity and contribute more. So directly I've not seen, but I can talk of few steps or measures that are indicated in the budget that I believe can lead to the same.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Coulson. Okay, just a minute.
Yes, just to add to my colleagues quickly. Yes, so directly we have not seen something like that, but I saw that NIB Bank, which had issues over the years, have been recapitalized.
Yeah.
And we know the implication of this. If it has been recapitalized, it means that there's going to be jobs, and according to the budget,
outlaws.
Very good, and so many so forth. Any finance expert understands some of these things. Transparency, they can give out loans, they can receive deposits, and once it's an indigenous bank, government can also get some funding from there to intervene in other areas. Aside that, it's going to increase. Once we have brought back some of the jobs that people, I think it's mentioned about 920 jobs that has been recovered. So imagine all these people are also paying some small taxes. It can also help. The importance of the financial sector can never be overlooked.
1 minute.
Okay, so therefore if a bank has been brought back, the interventions that can have on the economy can be huge. So let's hope that these interventions, they reap benefits. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have opportunity for 2 questions from our students. I'm having so many hands now. Okay, so give 2 to faculty, 2 to students. Very brief, because we are running out of time.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My question is on education. My name is Solomon. I'm in the accounting and finance faculty, and then as a lecturer, I want to ask a question that is related to students. So the budget review has highlighted macroeconomic improvements such as currency stability and then reduced inflation. But I want to find out if there is anything that touches on how these achievements can be translated into benefits for students. And then I'm just talking about educational funding and then cost of living on campus and then access to learning resources. Maybe these are things that have not been exposed directly to, and then once the students are here, they can hear from the experts the plans that the government has in trying to make teaching and learning easy for them. Thank you very much.
All right, I think one person will respond to this, and then we can save some time.
Yes, I want to say that even before the new administration came to power, they made a lot of promises to students. If I'm not wrong, I've heard that first year students' fees have been given to them.
Yes.
Yes, it's in the process. The politician always has several phases. So I'm sure phase 1. And I believe that the president is listening. So I believe that phase 2 and phase 3 will drop. And I'm also aware that the nurses, okay, they are advocating for the allowance.
Yes.
They have not been given yet.
In fact, there's an allocation for the nurses.
You see the thing? So all these things come to improve education because they are nursing trainee that eventually gets into the space. So let's see how the reforms work, and I'm sure that more interventions for education will show up.
Thank you so much. Just to add something small before the next question, we are praying that as the dollar CD rate has appreciated, or the CD has appreciated, now what will happen is that we are expecting you to go and buy a pack of food. Instead of 40 cedis, you should now get it at 25 or 20 cedis, and that should improve the cost of living that he's talking about. I think you people like Indomie more. So if you are buying Indomie at 25 cedis, it should now come to 20 cedis. All right, let's take the next question.
The process. I have 10 minutes for you.
Sorry?
My question is on the fiscal stance and microeconomic targets. My question is, what are the government's primary fiscal goals for the remainder of 2025, and how do they compare to the original budget? And also, why did the government decide not to request additional funds in this mid-year review? Also, how realistic are the revised GDP growth and inflation targets, especially given current global and domestic economic conditions?
Please, one question at a time, please. Please. So others can also get the opportunity to ask their questions.
Okay. What are the key strategies the government is employing to maintain macroeconomic stability under the IMF program?
Thank you. Panelists, do justice to this question. So we have the last two questions to go from the student, but let them respond to this one before. In 1 minute, please.
Yes. So the IMF program mainly hinges on collecting more revenue and then stabilizing the economy and also looking at our expenditure. I think whilst they are there, we will do up to the end of the year. I don't have the figures here, but we are looking at least forward to about 5.8 growth, which I'm expecting that we can achieve that. We are looking at a single-digit inflation. People are talking about 8% or 9%. Currently, I think we are in 13. So a single-digit, I'm looking at 9 or 8. We are hoping that we can get there. But we can only get there when we have fiscal discipline and go productively putting more money into productive sectors of the economy like agric.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the next question.
My name is Elijah, and my question is to Dr. Kumsin.
Okay.
He spoke about broad tax base, efficient tax administration, simple tax system, then high morale of labor, which is one of the factors that accounts to economic stability. So my question is, in this current world of globalization and then technological advancement, with respect to high tax morale and economic factors such as high employment rates, what technological and infrastructural developments can be established by the government to enhance productivity and competitiveness?
Okay, thank you for your question. Dr. Kumsi?
Thank you. I believe you meant high unemployment. Okay. So we know one of the things that haunt us after school wellness, and it's good that you guys are here. Now, formal employment is very, very weak, and we all know that. So, the emphasis is on the informal employment. The informal employment means that in addition to your formal employment to get a degree or to get a diploma, you may have to be thinking of doing something. Even now we have students who are doing eyelashes, they are doing week revamping,
pedicures,
and so on and so forth. I did the same when I was in school. I was doing t-shirts, those t-shirts that you write your names on it. I was doing, how do you call it? For instance, UTA presidents and those who want to stand, I do their posters for them with Coral Draw, and I get something small to support until I was formally employed. Even within my former employment, I was doing other things.
Great.
Okay, so government has recognized that there's a need to improve skill-related education, and that's why the TVET and all of that have come up. It's an opportunity for you, aside the certificate, start thinking of something hands-on to support you, so that by the time you finish school, you already have a immediate job to support. Now we don't even do one job. I do a lot of jobs. After teaching, I do so many other things. Okay, for the sake of time, you have to start thinking about those things. And by the time you finish, you see that you have some avenues to increase your revenue sources. Thank you
so much. All right, so I want us to give our last question to a female, because it appears all the questions were asked by males. So there's a hand there to Letitia. Let her ask her question. Yes. The rest of the questions, when we officially close, the panelists will still be around for some minutes to answer your questions.
I am really honored. Letitia is my name. Let's add to Dr. Kunse's.
Very simple question.
Dr. Kunse's submission. I will advise our students here that if you have long vacation and you don't want to do internship or anything, you can go into practical on training. I mean, sewing, anything.
Soap making.
Yeah, baking. I mean, those things, so that before you resume back to school, you have something doing. But a lot of you don't want to work hard, but you want money. That is just by the way. My question is to our energy sector. I want to find out who owns CCG, because the new kilometer is so bad. You buy 200 and in 2.5 weeks it's gone. And yet we are a nation blessed with natural resources like the sun all year long. So why can't the government come, I mean, on board to do something aside the water generation of power, so that we can divert other means? Yeah, we are so blessed in Ghana. I don't really know what our leaders are doing, but should...
I think your question is...
Yeah, should they use the lands and the availability of resources? We can go far without depending on other people.
Okay.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's take the last question before we respond and end it there. One faculty, Sharon, please can we hear from you?
All right, thank you. I'm Sharon, Accounting Department.
Doctor.
Yeah, I want to go back to the dollarization of our economy. Yeah, I think conversation so far has been on making sure that we do not price our services and our goods in the dollar. But I want to ask the panel that, do you think that is the only way forward? The current budget, does it also look at other options? Because you agree with me that our exports and imports, the imbalances, the dollar also plays a critical role. So the current budget, is it going to also explore those other options? Because I think the current conversation, if it's going to be on only the digitalization, I don't think that will be sustainable. But we will all be happy if the city keeps appreciating. So that's my question.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so to the first question on the energy sector.
Yeah, I think the first part of the question is obvious. Now, who was
ECG?
That one is obvious. You all know it. It's the state. As the cost is a worry to all of us. Yes, it's a worry to all of us. PURC is there to make sure that these things are regulated, but we are not seeing much of that. My advice, or yes, that I can say, is for us as individuals to begin to look at the various energy sources, especially if you are blessed to have your own home facility. Then you should look at solar. The upfront cost is high.
But the benefits are so enormous.
So enormous.
Yeah.
I have one, and I can tell you, the key challenge that I have with this renewable energy source, which individuals who are problem with, is the government failure to implement those policies that came out with them. Like, if I'm doing my solar and I have over generation at a particular time, I don't need it. I should be able to feed it into the national grid and to be able to get that for free if I need it. If that one comes in, a lot of people will be motivated to
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So that is the little advice.
Okay.
With the second question, the focus has now been more on gold board and excitement about the amount of money they're generating from gold import exports. But I'm thinking that agriculture should be the main area. That is more sustainable, and that will help us in our CD dollar more than just concentrating on gold board.
Thank you so
much. And so that's why we said the 1.5 billion is not enough at all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are very grateful. We are coming to the end of our discussion, and it has been a very insightful discussion from our members. And we want to thank you so much, Dr. Kumsim, Mr. Morsi, and Mr. Lawrence, for the ideas that you have shared. I believe that the stakeholders have all heard, and then they would make constructive efforts to implement them, to take most of the ideas you have shared here, you know, to add to their decision-making process, so that we can all achieve a one Ghana growth that we are all looking for, a one comfortable Ghana that we are all, you know, advocating to live in. So I want to thank you all students for listening and asking constructive questions.